Valkyries had a great win against the Seattle Storm that I thought was really indicative of Seattle's weaknesses. I think that Seattle has actually had a really good start to the season. They're a team that I want to get into with you a little bit. But one thing with this team is that when they can't get a lot of threes off, which you're just like, the Valkyries are kind of, they're really well scouted. So if you don't shoot the three well, they're going to give it to you. But this is a team that kind of likes to run a bunch of intricate sets below the arc. And the Valkyries are just not going to give you a lot of those, you know,
Absolutely not.
And I felt like that was kind of the Storm's demise. And I have seen enough from them at this point that I feel really ready to pull the trigger on a Marina Mabrey trade if I'm them. And it's for a number of different reasons. I like it on the court. Of course, she's just, God, she's such a gamer. You know, that Sun game against the Sky was a really good reminder of just how she can get hot. Like, her efficiency's been rough this season, but she's been draped on this Sun team, right? And I also think that she really fits into this competitive culture that they're trying to build. I feel like as more time passes after Jewel Lloyd got traded, there's like the podcast and everything, that I think what's becoming clear is, like, last year, the personality dynamics of Jewel being a little bit more laid back, you know, Skylar and Co being a little bit more intense, and everybody else, I think, kind of falling more on the Skylar end of the spectrum, was untenable as a dynamic. And I don't think that's a personality flaw for anybody. I think it's just, you know, we talked about this in the last segment. Sometimes when you have that much of a contrast and not enough synergy, and then you're put in these losing situations and you're under pressure like they were after, you know, putting this big three together, things can just come apart. And I think this year's Seattle team was really intentional about how the off-court dynamics worked as well. Like, they bring in Erica Wheeler, who, oh my God, like, all the flowers to Erica Wheeler.
Right.
She's just had such an incredible season. They're like plus 17 since she's entered the starting lineup. She had a very emotional moment after they beat the Lynx, which I think was just such a great signature win for them and shows you what their defense can do. I think their defense can do things to Minnesota, to Nafisa Collier, like Ezzy McMahon, Dominic Longer are doing things to that defense that no one else I've seen has done before that season, which is why I'm like, okay, there's enough here that I'm not going into like rebuild mode. We're seeing enough from Malonga. This team has found an identity. Like, you know, we have Gabby Williams talking about, you know, this is a team full of people who have been through a lot of different things in the league together, like, or overseas. Erica Wheeler talking about, you know, I'm crazy, so Skylar Diggins is crazy, like, it all kind of works. And the thing with Marina Mabrey is she loves a crash out. Like, we saw this in the Sun game where she loves a crash out. So I'm just, I really want to see this happen.
I have not thought about that, but I actually can see this. I think the Storm right now are forward dominant. They got a lot of bigs.
Yeah.
And they absolutely need shooting to be able to give those big space to operate. I do worry, though, that if Marina goes to Seattle, she might be draped there too. Because one of the things that happened against the Valkyries particularly is, like, Erica Wheeler was, I think, going into that game, the last 7 games before that, was shooting 50% from the floor, shooting a crazy number from three. And then she basically was non-existent from three against the Valkyries. And that allowed the Valkyries to do what they love to do, which is protect the paint and make it hard for you to do anything in the paint and put some hands in there and just disrupt a lot of what they were trying to do, as you mentioned, below the arc. I wonder if having a Marina Mabrey come in, everyone's going to know that's your shooting threat. That's your main shooting threat. Do you almost
want more?
I want more guards.
Yeah.
I want more guard play. And, you know, we know that Gabby Williams can shoot the three, but it's not her bread and butter. We know Skylar Diggins can shoot the three. I almost wish that their bigs could be more consistent with the three. We talked about, you know, maybe Nneka Ogwumike showcasing more of her ability to spread out. In my opinion, I'm looking at Noelle Quinn and I'm looking at those intricate sets that they're running. Is there an opportunity for their bigs to come, you know, to pop back, more in the pick and roll? Is there more opportunity for them to be, you know, hiding in the corner? Every time that, you know, Dominique Malonga's coming in, Ezzy McMahon's coming in, Nneka Ogwumike's coming in, like, it's great for the size and the ability to score inside, but I don't see them popping enough. And we've seen enough to know Ezzy can hit that trail three in transition, We know that Nneka can hit that. She can hit the corner three as well. She can hit the pop, the pick and roll pop. Like, I wish more of that could happen so that if a Marina Mabrey showed up or any other shooter showed up in a trade situation, that it wouldn't be so much attention on them.
Yeah.
I think that they're giving me Dallas last year. Thinking about the Tierra McCowan and the Kalani Brown and the big lineup that they ran, that 2 in, 3 out. It's so not characteristic of how you need to play in the WNBA these days. You need to have that versatile forward that can step out and shoot the three more consistently. And right now, there's so much action really close to the basket. And even a Marina Mabrey, like, I love the fact that Marina's a midi girl. She can hit that midi day in, day out. But again, she won't have that space right now with the way this team is constructed, and also particularly the way that they're playing and finding their shots.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I think Ezzy has been probably the biggest victim of all of that lack of spacing on offense this year. And I think, she hasn't hit a 3 all year. And I'm not saying, she's not like a knockdown, but she can hit a trail 3, to your point, right?
Yeah.
And I think her having a down year beyond the arc is its own challenge. I also think that she gets to one of the issues with Seattle, which even still for Gabby Williams, shooting 43% on the year, a quarter of the way through, but she's not somebody that I think the scouting report looks at and says, "Oh, if she's shooting like this is an emergency. Like we're ringing the alarm bells." So it's still kind of like live or die with what they end up doing. Do they end up making those shots? And that's very different from actually having a floor spacer that even if they're having an off night, you're just never going to leave them like you will with Mabrey, and also like you will with like Alexi Brown, who I would love to see incorporated into this rotation a little bit more. So I'm curious for your edge.
She's been more passive. You can see in the game, particularly against the Valkyries, it was very, even on a transition bucket, like where she's coming up the court, and I want to see her touch the paint first and then make an option, to kick it out, et cetera. I feel like there was a lot of passivity in Lexi's game recently, whether she's, deferring to Erica or she's deferring to Skylar. And I'd like to see her get to the rack more because we know she's capable of that, but I don't know. Maybe that's not what she's been asked to do. But yeah, I mean, you make a really great point about Gabby Williams. I agree with you. It's like, I would say, again, this is a part of her game that has popped up more so, particularly, I mean, I think I've been paying attention to her outside shot since the Paris Olympics. But again, I'm not expecting that from Gabby Williams. I'm expecting her bounce. I'm expecting her midi.
I'm also living with it.
And I'm fine with it.
If she hits it, right? Like, and I think you feel like that about Nneka, you feel like that about Skylar, and you feel like that about Ezzy as well. You feel like that about Erica Wheeler. Like, you feel like that about most of this lineup.
They need a designated shooter, so I like the idea of a Marina Mabrey, but they need more
maybe
consistent.
They need 2 of her.
Yeah, right. Or maybe, and I don't know if they need to go find 2 of her. I would just like to see more scheme set up to highlight that you've got a 44% shooter and Gabby Williams on your team, or put the ball in Erica Wheeler's hands in those catch and shoot situations more, where she can be confidently shooting the 3, as opposed to something that's coming in the end of the shot clock or something like that. Yeah.
I wonder if they're ultimately a lot like last year's Connecticut Sun, where you trade for Marina Mabrey and it definitely helps you become a team that can reach the semifinals, but you're still a little bit short. And then if you're going to be a little bit short, maybe you don't make the deal. I don't want to, I don't know. I feel like that Valkyries game was like a kind of thing. That's a really bad matchup for them.
It was like a train wreck a little bit of a high speed train that was like going off and killing it. We'll see how they bounce back, but I don't want to assess it too early.
Yeah. And then there's time until the trade deadline as well.
Exactly. There's time until the trade deadline. You talked earlier about, there is also a culture orientation that Seattle's going through. Yes, Jewel is gone, but they also just they just traded Lee Yuru. And having someone that's in the locker room that, is upset about playing time and isn't necessarily happy to be there can have impact as well. Right. So you're seeing them still mold themselves into who they could potentially be. And they have a lot of players that are incredibly talented, and they have a lot of players with chips on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And so I feel as if, I give it, I'm looking to All-Star to really assess the Seattle team to see, is this another repeat of last year where you're going to end up, in the top half of the league, maybe in the top 4, 5, 6, but it's still not enough to get you past the second round or the first round. So I'm going to hold until we'll see how much more wrinkles they have to iron out.
Yeah. I think a little skepticism on Seattle is absolutely valid.